So one common question I get is, why does somebody with dementia pack things up or hide things, stick things under their bed mattress or under their sheets, pack suitcases? And how do I stop them from doing this? Just because we see a behavior happen with a lot of people with dementia does not mean that that behavior is just dementia and there's nothing that you can do about it. Hi, I'm Reverend Katie Norris from Creative Connections in Dementia Care, and I have been teaching Montessori-based dementia care for 14 years. And I was a caregiver for my mom who had Lewy body dementia, and now my dad has Alzheimer's. And one of the most important things that I learned in Montessori-based dementia care is that there is always a reason for a behavior, and it's not just the dementia. So one common question I get is, why does somebody with dementia pack things up or hide things, stick things under their bed mattress or under their sheets, pack suitcases? And how do I stop them from doing this? Because then every day I've got to go and I've got to put all the stuff away. And then most of the time, the responses that I see online from support groups or different places that give dementia care advice is, well, that's just dementia. People with dementia do that. Go ahead and replace the items later in the day and reset, and put everything away for them. And don't tell them that they shouldn't do it and things like that. I agree with the don't tell them they shouldn't do it, because that's just not helpful. But I don't agree with the idea that it's just dementia and there's nothing that you can do about it. And in Montessori-based dementia care, we always look for the why for a behavior. We follow the neurology of the brain. And in the Montessori dementia care that I teach, I have a formula that talks about how internal environment plus external environment creates behaviors. Now, there's 4 different systems in the internal environment and 4 different systems in the external environment. And I won't go over them all here, but it's important to understand that we've gotten better at understanding external environment. Like if someone keeps taking all of their clothes out of a closet every day and then packing them into a bag or, putting them on the bed, then there's 2 options. You can look at just the external environment. Maybe the reason the person is packing their clothes is because you keep leaving a suitcase in the closet, and the suitcase is a cue to their brain that they need to go somewhere. And so they pack their clothes every day, every time they see a suitcase. Or it could be that if they're taking all their clothes out every day and like shoving it under the sheets of the bed or underneath a mattress, that instead we'll just don't put as many clothes in the closet, because then they won't see as many clothes and maybe they won't do the behavior. Or then if they do the behavior, there's less for you to clean up later. So the suitcase one isn't actually a bad idea. That's a super easy fix, but that really is dependent on whether it really is just the external environment that is causing this behavior, which would be the suitcase. And for a lot of people, this behavior is not just because of an external environment, just that they can see the clothes or just that there's a suitcase there. It's something else that's going on for them. And that's when we look at the internal environment. An internal environment has so many components to it. I do break it into 4 different systems. But just for an example, let's say that you are caring for somebody who in the past did not have clothes and they didn't have access to clothes and they had a couple things that they could wear. And so they have a huge fear around not having enough clothes anymore. That is a whole different brain wiring. We are understanding their trauma background, and we're understanding what's going on in the neurology of their brain, part of their internal environment that's creating this behavior. So for somebody like this, the solution, first of all, would not be to remove clothes, because that's going to actually make the behavior worse. And maybe then they're not going to be taking clothes out. They're going to be going around the house and taking other people's clothes, or you might see other behaviors that you think are totally unrelated, like arguing, yelling, hitting, saying that they need to go out, they need to go out, they need to go out. You can't quite figure out why they need to go out. And the real reason they need to go out is because they think they need to go out and get more clothes. So part of Montessori dementia care is really understanding how is somebody's brain working for that person, including how their brain has been wired over their life, and then how the dementia kind of interplays with that. And so if I am helping somebody who has had a traumatic background around not having enough clothes or enough resources, then the way that I'm going to support them in dementia is different than if it's somebody who just sees a suitcase and thinks, oh, we're going on trips, I'm going to pack a suitcase, right? So sometimes maybe this person actually needs to be able to see all their clothes as soon as they wake up. Most people have clothes like behind a closet door and things like that, and it's closed off. And actually most people with dementia do better when they can see their items. Of course, not too many items, so it's overwhelming. All depends on the person. But for this person, maybe their first fear when they wake up in the morning is, do I have enough clothes? Do I have anything to wear? And so seeing all of their clothes or some of their clothes, it's going to depend on the person, out right away can be really helpful for somebody like that. And for somebody else, there might be a different fix for this. It might be that we actually work on how do we help somebody feel safe and like they have enough resources throughout the day. And so we'll put in activities throughout the day that speak to the emotional need for safety and having enough resources. And so this is one of the reasons why Montessori care is very different than a lot of other forms of dementia care, because a lot of times what you'll see is people kind of trying tips over and over and over again to stop somebody from taking all their clothes out of their closet. And a tip's not going to work if it's not the right fit for the person, because not everybody with dementia is the same. And the reason their behavior is happening is different. That's true for all of us. The reason why I might have a behavior that outwardly looks the same as a behavior that you might have is probably different. The underlying need and the reason for the behavior is different. And then the other part about this is kind of, understanding, is the behavior a problem? It might be a problem for us, especially in a home environment. If my mom's taking everything out of her closet and putting it all over her room or putting it in a suitcase, and then I have to go and try and find clothes, and I'm like tapped out at my wit's end, and I'm trying to take care of my kid. At the same time, I'm trying to take care of my mom, or it's your spouse and you are just trying to get him some breakfast in the morning and make sure that nobody has any toileting accidents and things like that, and you're trying to live your life, you can become completely exhausted with someone taking all of their stuff out of their closet. What we sometimes want to look at is a behavior an issue for the other people in the environment as well as the person with dementia? Some people with dementia really just like to fold clothes and organize things. And so for somebody like that, I might actually set up an activity for them of folding their clothes and organizing them. And a lot of times what happens is people, after they fold their clothes, don't know where they go. And so what I'm going to do is then fill that gap in for, how do I get the clothes that I just folded that I left all over my bed, and then I don't know what to do with, so I shove them under a mattress or I shove them somewhere else in the house. How do I help cue the brain so it becomes accessible, that they know, okay, I folded them, where do I put them back? So we might actually turn that thing into an activity, which helps them meet the need that they have for this activity that they really like. And it decreases your stress of, oh my gosh, now I have all this stuff out and then I have to put it away later. And it's a huge other task for me to do. And I'm already cognitively overloaded as well. So we really look at behaviors in a kind of holistic way and a whole life way. What's it telling us about what the person needs? A lot of times behaviors really are not indicating something that's a problem for them. If somebody is unpacking all their clothes because they're scared, I want to help relieve their fear and find ways to support them. If they're unpacking all of their clothes because they are bored and need an activity to do, and the first thing that they see in their room is their clothes, and so their brain doesn't have environmental cues to tell them what to do in this moment. When our brain doesn't know what it should be doing in an environment, and you may think that their environment is set up a way where they should know what to do next. Well, when you wake up in the morning, you get up, you brush your teeth. But a lot of people with dementia need a far different environment set up than what works for you and I, for their brain to be able to know what to do next. And so if it's really just that this environment is not set up for them, their brain is confused, they're trying to find something that they're supposed to do, and folding clothes and moving clothes around is a preserved ability, something that they've done a lot their whole entire life, their brain is going to go to the thing that it kind of feels automatically comfortable with. I see clothes, I fold clothes, I move them around, I organize them. And so that to me isn't a behavior that needs to be fixed and things like that. Maybe we just turn that into an actual activity for them, and make it something that's even more accessible for them. I think sometimes what people miss is that you could create an activity about putting the clothes away at the end of the day so that you're not totally overwhelmed, and it's not that you are the one that has to do all of the cleanup afterwards. I think people forget sometimes that it's okay to let somebody do something and then to put back what they did. We all cook and we clean up from when we cooked, right? We wash clothes and then we fold clothes, or however you like to put clothes away. Some people just like to put them in bins, which I'm a fan of. So cleaning up an activity is actually an activity. So instead of thinking I have to go and I have to do all this stuff and I have to clean up all this stuff, we look at, okay, well, could we actually make the putting away of all the clothes an accessible activity for that person? And it's not just about telling them, okay, mom, it's time to put the clothes away, put the clothes in the closet, put the clothes in the closet. We use the Montessori method, which follows how to make a task accessible for this person so that they can actually do the task. And we do that through using objective observation, templating, cueing, a demonstrate and follow method being a guide instead of telling people what to do, and through the invitation process of how we even invite somebody to do an activity. So there are methods that we use to create an activity to be accessible for somebody. So if you're struggling with, well, I told my mom to put the clothes away and she didn't put them away, or I set them all out for her, I pointed to the closet and I told her where to put them and it didn't work. It's probably because there's parts in that sequencing of how to do that task that there's a gap for her. And in Montessori, we teach you how to look for those gaps and what's the right thing to fill in, the right support to put in there to fill those gaps so that then they can do the task more independently. Does it mean people are going to do things completely independently? It's going to depend on the stage of dementia. A lot of times we're able to set up things where people can now make their own coffee again. They can fold their own clothes and put them all away again. And then in later stages of dementia, it might be that they do have a little bit more guided assistance from us or a hired care partner or somebody else in the environment to help them out. But they're still maintaining as much independence as possible. People like to be meaningfully engaged in their life and not to feel like people are like doing all these tasks for them. So I hope that helps you kind of understand why somebody might in general have a behavior, but specifically this behavior of like, why do people pack and unpack things and take things in and out and things like that? That there isn't just one fix for it. We do have to figure out what is going on for that person and support them in a way that meets them and you and everybody else in the environment. And Montessori dementia care is the way that we do that. But I hope that this helps you understand like kind of some different ways to look at it. If you're struggling with, well, I looked up something about what do I do when my loved one keeps taking all their clothes out of their closet and putting them all over the house. And all these tips that I found didn't work. It's not, because there's something wrong with your person with dementia or it's not going to work for them and they must be different than everybody else with dementia. It's just because the process being used isn't the right process for your person. If you want to learn more about trauma-informed Montessori-based dementia care, then please like and subscribe. And you can check out the link below for our Family Care Partners House membership, which teaches you Montessori-based care. And also we have our professionals course that is opening up on January 20th of 2025 for a new cohort group of people. So if you want to check those out, there is a link in the description.